morning. I really appreciate the 9 o'clock start. I'm just going to say that. It's nice. We're like a little earlier usually at the office. So like I mentioned, I work at Conagra Brands. We used to be called Conagra Foods. We just call it Conagra. It's unnecessary to get it right. So we're in Chicago, and we had a really exciting journey with Bloomfire, and it really came out of a big drastic change in our company. I also noticed that Terrence from Spot Hero is not here, so I thought I would have to bring it. Here's the clicker. With the gifts. Last year we experienced a lot of gifts, so I just thought I'd put a couple to make you feel comfortable and talk about the power of Bloomfire. Everyone got your picture of it? Tweet that. Okay, so like we mentioned, a lot of people use Bloomfire for different reasons, and we are not unique in our use, but this is kind of why we went to Bloomfire. Now about 2 years ago, we got a new CEO who decided to lay off about 300 people, and which is a lot. And in that, he also moved our corporate headquarters from Omaha, Nebraska to Chicago, Illinois. We did not have offices in Chicago. We had offices in Naperville, Illinois, which is where I moved when I moved for the company, which is annoying, which is about 25 miles from Chicago. Luckily, we have a great public transportation system, thank goodness. But when that happened, it like really rocked our company. So our industry has been under a lot of heat to cut costs, and one way they did that was through people. And then we kind of watched, hundreds of years of company knowledge just leave, just go out the door. And so many people left within 2 weeks that you didn't even recover their computers. You just sold them to make money. So we watched all these people who'd worked at the company for a while and the things that they knew, and we just lost all the information. And I think it was just a wake-up call that we need to share information. You'd mentioned you have a lot of, knowledge in your company, and you're working on passing it to the next generation, which is great. We did not have that plan. So we kind of woke up. My team specifically was called Shopper Insights, and we went from having 13 people who worked in the field with our sales teams around the country, and then we went down to 5 people who were all at a corporate location and still expected to support all of our customers. So we kind of had to get a new member of our team that was not a human. So that's where we started looking for a tool. And we also had to break down organizational silos. When you have a lot fewer people at your company, you have to wear multiple hats, and you have to become smarter across the company. So that was a big reason for us as well. We also had this new company value called external focus. And my group is Insights. And so we're all about looking outside of our company. What are trends that are happening? We're in the food business, so why is Austin so hipster? And what kind of cool food are they eating in Austin? And how does that affect big food companies? And what do we need to pay attention to? What do you guys care about in the food that you buy at the grocery store? So we're always looking outside. And so people have brought up this whole catchphrase of democratizing insights. So one way that we could help members of our company understand what's going on in the world outside of our office is to share our insights more broadly. And we, like I mentioned, had existing resources on people's desktops. So I'm not even saying shared folders, literal desktop junk. So this is very disturbing to me, but people were saving things on their desktops. There's someone on my team, I will not call out her name specifically. She's worked at the company 10 years, and she has nothing saved in a shared place. I also mentioned that our team went from 13 people to 5, and so there was 8 people who we lost. They are still alive. We lost them from the company. And so they don't work at the company anymore, but they had each worked at the company more than 5 years. And so for them, we were lucky that we had 2 months. They had a 2-month transition before they were gone. And so in those 2 months, we said, hey, here's a SharePoint site. Can you load your stuff up there so when you leave, we're not like SOL? And they, between the 8 of them, we received about 45 documents. So it's 40 years of experience and received 45 documents, which was nice of them, but we're just, again, thinking about what did we lose. And also, our company has this really bad problem, maybe you have it also, called version 2.0 otitis. So we'd send out, hey, here's a deck. This is version 5.6. okay, this is final version 5.78, and you never, ever knew what document was final. So we were just like, we just need one place where the final version 9.7 goes. So that's also why we came to Bloomfire. Couple head nods. So anyway, I'm kind of talking about how just because you come up with this great solution and Bloomfire is a great tool, doesn't mean that people will run to it. A lot of times people will, but we think that you need to spend a lot of time thinking about how you launch, how you re-engage, how you measure, because I'm in the research group, so we like to do surveys, and then how you relaunch given your survey feedback. Okay, so we'll talk about our launch first. So we call our Bloomfire site Iris. We just chose to change the name. We made it a fun thing to have people submit ideas for the names. Our leader, Bob, he actually is obsessed with eyeballs and insights. So he says, well, every person has a unique eyeball, okay? And then he thinks that your eyeball is like a window into your soul and your thoughts and what you're thinking. And so as insights professionals, we're trying to get inside people's heads. So we thought, I guess an eye kind of makes sense. So that's where we came up with this iris idea. And then it uses like our company colors. But it was something fun to do. We customize, we talk about the level of customization. We do utilize a promo bar, which has even maybe changed since I took the screenshot. We brand in the corner. You can see our URL. Which has even simplified since then. Now it's just iris.conagra.com. And so I mentioned we also launched with multiple communities, and I'll talk about how we changed there. But this is kind of what we look like. You'll also notice something that we do you probably don't do. I don't know if it's a great idea or not, but you can see it. We, instead of putting people's faces, if you're a contributor, we give you an icon that says what team you're on. Because not everyone knows who Ruth Waters is, because there's thousands of people at our company. So, but you can know that she works in food service insights, which means she sells to restaurants. Mine would say shopper insights, which means that my focus would be around retailers. So we do that. I don't know if that's a good tip or not, but we do that. When we launched, we know it's critical to have support from your leaders. Even if they don't use the tool, they need to support it. So this is Sean Connolly. He's the guy that laid everybody off. And he's actually a supporter, which is great. So we had him. He does, every Monday, he does a video to the troops, and we get a video from Sean. So we planned to have his Monday video the day before our launch to kind of hype up our launch that was coming. Our company also uses an evil platform called Yammer. So we were forced to put things on Yammer. So you have to, when you want to do employee communications, you have to have a Yammer strategy. So we yammed. And we had John Harris, who's the head of our communications department, talked about it. It was pretty cool. Sean actually even stopped in at our launch event, unsolicited, which was nice. And then someone who reports to him, who's my boss's boss's boss, also like sent out an email to his peers and his direct reports, and he said, hey guys, it's Iris launch week. I wanted to make sure all of you stop by and you're supporting the team in that. So that was cool. And then every person who we were targeting for Iris, we have it open to anybody, but we kind of target specific groups of about 1,500 people, but maybe we have many more names loaded into there because we don't want anyone to go to it and not be able to have access. We launched, we had everyone's leader of their function send out an email. So I met with every leader of every function who we were targeting. So whether it was the leader of sales, and I said, hey, Derek, I'm going to write this email for you. Can you please write your name at the bottom and send it out to your people on this day? So we did that. And then I'm going to come to my little table over here. And we also sent people some mailers. So we have some people who are in the field, and people in the field, if you guys are working remotely, you know you get like left out of all the fun stuff, right? So we sent a little mailer to everybody. You can come look at this later, and it just says the secret to unlimited knowledge. Look inside. So, and in here is like 3D glasses with a little message that's really vague about what we were launching. This was like $1 to send people this, so it's pretty cheap. So we sent things to people's offices. In our office locations, which weren't home offices, we had these cheesy little viewfinders, which are fun, and inside of them, you can also take a peek later, are little memes about knowledge. And again, so we put these out about 2 weeks before the launch, just to get some buzz going, and all these people would be like, what the heck is Iris? We'd be like, we're not telling you yet. Um, so we just tried to get some buzz ahead of time. And then I'm going to show you a really short, super short video. Okay, so we essentially had them put up this big, like, light up cube thing with some screens on it, and then we did a scavenger hunt. So if you people we'll talk about scavenger hunts. So we had them set up this kind of cube, and we invited people to come in and stop by and have a cupcake from Sprinkles, which is really delicious. And so people came in, and they could experience the tool with a bunch of people from our steering team there to help them out with questions and to make sure everyone didn't have trouble coming in. Bloomfire sent us some people to help us out. And so we kind of launched with a big bang. After our launch, we saw crazy results, but part of our launch, another way that we wanted to drive adoption was that we knew only about 600 of our employees were in the Chicago location, the other thousands were elsewhere, so we wanted to make sure there was a way that people who were remote could still engage with the launch. So we did a scavenger hunt. How many of you have done scavenger hunts? I got the idea when I was here at the conference last year. Someone from a small marketing company in Montana had talked about putting little Easter eggs, little fun surprises in their Bloomfire. So we're like, oh, that's such a good idea. So we essentially hid, I think, about 20-some clues throughout our Bloomfire site. And at the bottom of it, I would have this picture that would say, nice job, you found a clue. It would maybe have information linking you to the next clue. And then every single part of the scavenger hunt was designed to teach you how to use the tool. Because what you guys have experienced is that Bloomfire is so easy to use that you do not have to teach people how to use it, but there is a cool way to teach them how to do little tasks. So I brought a couple of our cards from the station, but these were online. So like, hey, your kids might actually like bulgur. Find out what the heck bulgur is and what other foods millennial parents like to feed their kids. So find that post, and then it says comment with your name and if your favorite food as a child. So sometimes the instruction would be to comment, sometimes it would be to high-five it, sometimes it would be, hey, there's a video about low-income shoppers and how they like to use their food stamp money. Find this quote in the video, and so then they learned how to find the dots along the progress bar in the videos for where people say certain things, and then everyone comments, that was amazing! I didn't have to watch the whole 13-minute video. So that was cool. So we did that. So every time you participated in the scavenger hunt, we gave them an entry into a contest. And yes, we are the people who got iPad Pros to give out. It's kind of funny. They were like, cut all these people on this money, but like, here, you can give people iPads. That was nice. But so just in that 2 weeks that we did this, we had over 300 people participate, over 1,700 entries, and people were super positive. We actually saw, upwards of 2,000 people even just look at the site, not necessarily participate in the scavenger hunt. I had people heckling at me at my desk, like, when am I going to win that iPad, Diana? So it was really exciting for people, and I think they enjoyed playing it. So I recommend doing it. It was not very hard for me to set up. You don't even have to have a great prize like this. I think people would have done it just for recognition. And so I mentioned how the instructions would all teach you different ways. Like, this will teach you how to comment. This will teach you how to share it. And then we did some like testimonial videos of our beta group. So those were part of the clues so people could hear from people who had been using the tool for a few weeks. So we did that. And then I mentioned, that I am in Insights, and people who are in Insights love doing surveys and getting research. So we decided this whole time that we would have a big research plan. So we had a beta group that we pre-surveyed and post-surveyed. Then we pre-surveyed the organization as soon as we started telling them what Iris was. And then like a couple weeks later, after we launched the tool, we did another survey with the same questions, so that way you can compare results. And then what we did again was we're like, hey, about 6 months later, we're going to plan to resurvey and see how people are really using the tool, how they're using it, what they're using it, and what they'd like to change. And then we're going to make some changes based on that feedback. So some things that we saw for wins was that it drastically reduced the amount of time people spent looking for information, which was great. We had a lot of people in totally new roles. I was one of those people. I was in a totally new role. I did not know anything that my team did beforehand. So it was a great resource for people to find information and get up to speed. People now had access to information that used to be kind of behind a gatekeeper. Insights people used to be like totally prideful about their research, like, you have to come to me if you want to learn about that survey. And so now people could actually go and find it on their own and not talk to an awkward insights person. Also, we just learned that the tool was really easy and that training wasn't even needed. I offered 15-minute training sessions the week of the launch if people wanted to, but I basically told people when they called in, I was like, hey, if you want to drop off this call, you can totally drop off if you feel like you know how to use it. So it was just a totally different way of rolling out training because we just didn't think we needed to train so much. I should also mention, we do train people who contribute content, but most of our users do not contribute content. They just do questions. So all of the Insights group contributes, which is about 40 people. And then we have maybe 10 to 15 other people who have been trained, and they also are allowed to contribute content, but everyone else right now just digests and uses the content. But we've had some opportunities. I mentioned yesterday we had glitches by having multiple communities. People were having trouble sharing links with each other, and it just depends on how your group uses the community. So that may or may not apply to you. So that was a little glitchy for us. We did have to check. We had 7 communities, so every time we'd want to post something, you'd have to like go through and find all 7 communities. And then we were having some issues, and we still, because our IT team is lame, so we don't, our IT team does not allow us to directly pull usernames from our HR system. So that we found was a little glitchy, but that is not Bloomfire's fault. And then we also found that people were looking for more information than just what the Insights team had to give. So we listened to our survey, and we made some changes. Here's some survey results about why. We want to know why people were using Iris, so we knew that we were putting the type of content that you'd be looking for here. And we basically made these changes. We transitioned to one community, which was awesome. We've been partnering with Bloomfire about features. I love talking to Claire when you guys are making changes. It's fun for us. We made adjustments to the promo bar. We are now expanding authorship. So like I mentioned, people said, hey, I want more than just the Insight stuff here. So our R&D team, which is huge, they are starting to share information. So, hey, I want to mark my package as being organic. What does that mean? The FDA regulates the word organic. Here's how I can find out if my product is organic or not. And then we are still working on launching the app. When we had multiple communities, it was not as smooth. So we will be launching the app soon. And then for us, it's all about re-engaging also. So we want to make sure we keep re-engaging our employees, make sure they still love Iris and think it's the best thing ever. So we want to keep our content fresh, so we made a promise to them that we would have new content featured in the featured content section every week, which at first we thought would be hard. But what we do, and I don't know if you guys have thought about this before, is we actually have some of our external vendors contribute on the back end content on our behalf that then we can push out. So if you are in a research team, you probably have a gajillion vendors that you work with. We do. So we're buying research from all these companies, and we basically told companies that we work with, like, hey, if you want to sell us research, that's great. You need to load it into our site. Which has been awesome. So we are getting new content daily, where we have them set certain types of content to expire after a while, so we don't have to clean that out. But they basically load stuff into kind of a private community where just vendors can see their own stuff, and they give us information, and then we push it out to our community once we okay it. So that is a great way to get content without like burdening your organization to do it for you. If you like subscribe to, like some companies would send us emails like every week, hey, check out this new research we did. Hey, check out this new trend. We're like, stop emailing us and start putting it into our Bloomfire site. So that's what they do for us. I recommend it. No one has charged us money to do that. Just recommending it. And so yeah, we've been making sure that our content is relevant and up to date. We will turn 1 year old in July on the 17th, so we will celebrate, and we will also have like a massive letting all the authors know how their content's performing so they can make adjustments to their content then. And thank you.